I'm sure we have all seen our lights just flicker on and off for no reason. But have you ever seen the light switch go up and down without anyone being there? Let me tell you my story about how I seen that. What's going on, guys? My name is Jason. I tell my ghost stories online. Let's get into tonight's story. So, tonight, it takes me back to being like, I'm going to say like probably 8 years old. It's me, a couple of my cousins, a couple of my sisters. We're hanging out in my grandma's room. And let me just preface this story with saying that there has always been something off about my grandma's room when we used to live in Redlands, California. There was just something about the energy in that room that just felt just uncomfortable. So we're all hanging out in that room, and us being kids, we like made up the opposite of like a staring contest, but who could keep their eyes closed the longest contest. So I was the judge, and everyone was gonna close their eyes around me, and I was gonna keep an eye on everyone to make sure that nobody opened them. So we're playing this game. I'm looking, I'm watching every person, making sure nobody opens their eyes. It's probably like 5 of us in this contest that we have going on. And so we are having this whole contest, this whole game, and all of a sudden, I'm sitting there, again, only one with my eyes open. All of a sudden, the lights flicker on and off. And I'm like, okay, like, that's weird. Okay, whatever. Like, and sure, it's just, it's my grandma. She probably has like an old lamp or something. Not a big deal. So I ignore it. But then it happens again, and it does it like twice. That's weird. So I call it out. I'm like, hey guys, hold on. Like, you guys need to see this. And so I have everyone open their eyes, and we're all watching, because I'm telling them, like, these lights are flickering, and I don't know why they're doing that. And I had never noticed it before, so I thought it was odd. So we're watching. We're waiting for the lights to flicker again. Of course, doesn't happen. So we're waiting a couple of minutes. Nothing. So we're like, okay, whatever. We'll go back to our game. So we go back to our game. And we're doing it again. I'm judging. I'm watching everyone in this room. Make sure nobody opens their eyes. I'm like, okay. All of a sudden, lights flicker. I'm like, okay. So I look over at the light switch to see if, like, maybe, like, somebody's messing with us. Maybe, like, my grandma is, like, flipping the switch or something. All of a sudden, I see the light switch go up and down. And so I'm looking at this, and I'm like, look, guys. And I'm trying to tell them to look. By the time they open their eyes and they look, lights are on, lights are not flickering anymore. It's like the ghost is like conscious of the fact that I'm trying to get people to see these things, and then they just don't see it. So that was my experience in my grandma's room that day. However, let me tell you a little bonus story from my sister. I'm sure I have permission from her to tell this story, but my grandma, she was a devout Catholic. So she was one of the people that kind of had like, she had Jesus pictures everywhere. She had, I would probably guess, anywhere between like 15 to 20 pictures of Jesus amongst like frames and candles and little things that she had on her dresser everywhere. So I guess she's hanging out in there one day by herself. And I remember this day because she came running out of my grandma's room, crying, claiming that every single picture of Jesus turned into the devil. And we are not like a super religious family. Like, my grandma was Catholic. My mom, I think, identifies as Catholic. But like most of us kids, we kind of are like, sure, I guess. Like, I consider myself like, I guess, like agnostic. Like, we're not super religious. And so for this to happen, and for her to see the devil in all of these paintings and pictures, is like crazy. So she claims again and again, and she still says to this day, that it was the devil in all of those paintings. And so I don't know what that means. So that house alone just had a weird energy to it. And so I have plenty more stories from that house, which I will tell you in the next story. But I will see you guys on the next one. That was tonight's story, so bye.
Let's read some more scary stories that were DM'd to us. So I live in my grandparents' old house because my house is on the market. Their house was built in the 1930s, specifically 1936, and I have this tiny closet in my room. And a couple of months after I moved in, I had kept on hearing crying like a baby, and then I did some research on my house. I found out that someone had died there, a mother and a baby. It was unknown how the mother died, but it was suspected that she hung herself after her baby's death, who had died at childbirth. This was a short story, but now I have a mother and a young baby in my room, and I suspect that my room used to be the nursery or the main bedroom. It's really creepy, but they're actually really nice to me. They can't communicate to me verbally, but the mother sometimes comforts me when I'm in pain. So this is creepy, but this is like one of those sweet ones. This person feels like the spirits that they have in their house are actually nice. I feel so bad for the mother and the baby, but I'm really glad that they're not like harming the people who live in the house. And that's really sweet that she's looking after the new person that lives in her old house. Okay, moving on. This story starts with me and my friends. We were around 10 and at a play center. We were near the ball pit, and I looked into the pit to see a kid in there alone. So me being me, I went down there. My friend stayed with some other girl we had met, and I asked if she wanted to play with us. She looked around 5 or 7, and she was alone, and I loved making new friends, so I thought, why not make friends with her? And she said to me, yes, but can we stay here? And I said, of course. And I turned around to shout to my friends. They came over, and I said my new friend wants to play with us, but she wants to stay in the ball pit. And they asked me, what friend? So I turn around to point to her, but she is nowhere to be seen, and I know she didn't leave because ball pits are noisy to get in and out of. So I would have heard her. So I think I encountered a ghost at 10 years old. That is freaky! That's giving like Five Nights at Freddy's or something like that. And this person said that the play center was Pirates Play Center in Nottingham. And they also said that there's like other creepy stories, like people have had other like creepy weird encounters at this place, and when they figure out like more stuff that's happened there, they're gonna let me know. So I will let you know as soon as I know. One thing I don't want to see happening on my videos is like any hate comments directed towards the people who are sending me their scary stories. I started posting content reading people's scary stories that they DM to me, and I've had to block a few people